Hi, I'm Manavis. I'm running for Vice President Student Support. I'm a fourth-year social and public policy student, and in the past I've been on board for Isabella Elder Feminist Society for 3 years, one of which as president, and I also run the Let's Talk campaign to prevent sexual violence on campus.
Great, so both of your fellow candidates for VP Student Support have held positions on the SRC that deal with welfare and equality. Why do you think you're the best candidate?
I think some of my experience kind of outside of the SRC is really helpful. So working with loads of societies and campaigns kind of on all levels of really low level, like applying for a grant to like sitting in meetings and working groups to try to develop sexual assault policy. It really helps having the insight of how to work with the SRC on behalf of students instead of working within the SRC. So I think that insight will grant me a bit more perspective and help me communicate with students a bit better.
Great. So how will you implement the mandatory equality and diversity training for all staff?
So like all staff gets training anyways, like fire safety training, so it's not too hard just to even implement really low level basic equality and diversity training and kind of work from there. It shouldn't be too difficult amongst all the other things that staff has to do when they're coming to work for the university.
Great. You also mentioned in your manifesto that you will be actually opening up communications between the SRC and societies and unions. Do you believe that the current channels of communication are poor, and can you expand on what you will do to improve them?
Yeah, so everybody of course like tries to bring up communication, and I think a lot of my experience will help in that, because sometimes I think the SRC gets a bit like wrapped up in itself and doesn't really realize how it's best to communicate with students. So the current channels of communication, in the past when we were trying to develop things with Let's Talk, the sexual assault prevention campaign, the societies were working on something, the gender equality officer at the time was working on something, and the SABs were working on something. So communication was not at the greatest, and I think that was a very simple thing even internally within the SRC. If you're doing something with sexual assault, maybe communicate with the gender equality officer at the very least. So I think that, yeah, my experience will help me kind of better understand how to communicate with students, especially students that aren't engaged in societies as well.
You mentioned that you intend to extend the sexual violence prevention training sessions to more students and make them more accessible. How exactly will you do this?
So I think like at the best point, all new students should be able to get the training. I mean, you have to sit in a million meetings anyways with like your like head of studies and things. Adding one more thing to kind of the freshers timetable isn't that difficult either. We've gotten a lot of support and students wanting to get involved in the training sessions, in becoming trainers. So every year just recruiting new people to go out and do that, and taking advantage of societies that are also relevant, like Sexpression, Isabella Elder, like FemSoc. All of those societies will be happy to kind of help to recruit people as well. So just engaging more with students. If the SRC tries to do too much stuff within itself, it's not gonna happen because there just aren't enough resources. So if you work with students a bit more, it engages them, which is helpful to campus, and also it helps the SRC out by lessening strains.
You also mentioned providing a safe space on campus for a night out gone wrong, regular STI testing on campus, free sanitary products and free condoms year-round in halls, and more mental health funding. Given budget restraints, are these realistic goals?
I think they are. I think even if they aren't realistic, we should still work towards them, because doing something is better than doing nothing. If it helps one person, it's a benefit. And like my kind of entire manifesto and campaign is about engaging student society. So like in terms of lessening strains on the counseling and psychological services, if you work with societies like GU Mental Wealth, which does really great work, like relaxation pods, then that kind of base level of self-care, that's kind of taken care of. And if we can help some people out there, maybe it kind of lessens the strain on psychological services. Also, like Edinburgh Uni, they provide free sanitary products. Like if we're providing condoms, surely we can provide free sanitary products as well. And then working with student unions also to help to provide those. I think the SRC should just take more of a role in kind of helping students help themselves and helping the unions help themselves.
Great. Should the university be making more of an effort to fund student support services?
Yeah, so I mean, like, in theory, like the entire budget could go to like counseling services and student support services. Like you can always kind of do better in terms of student welfare. But like the way I kind of see it, it's two issues. So there's an issue of funding, and then there's also an issue of publicity. So, but the more like publicity you work on, the less there is kind of funding per student. So like I was saying, with engaging student societies, if you kind of publicize those, then more students can kind of get help through society, self-care that way, and then it'll help to kind of reduce the strain. But yeah, of course, like always more funding would be better, but talking about like realistic alternatives to that would be great.
Can you also outline what you meant in your manifesto by holistic and consistent support for young carers at university?
Yeah, so I mean, I think like the current welfare quality officers and the SABs that have been working on the campus redevelopment have been working really hard on this, but I think that there should be more focus on like carers, postgrads, mature students, home students, like students with kind of atypical schedules, not the typical like 18-year-olds coming to uni and staying in halls. There should just be more services catered toward them, because a lot of the publicity kind of just goes out to that like stereotypical undergrad. So just making sure that it maintains a priority student welfare, especially for students with atypical schedules through the campus redevelopment, would be a huge focus.
So lastly, what are your personal criteria for success as VPSS after this year, if you're elected?
A lot of the criticisms I kind of hear about the SRC is that it's not accessible. My aim was to just basically become like creating as many genuine connections with people so that they feel like the SRC is a friendly and accessible place that they can access services. There's loads of really good services that the SRC puts on and across the entire university, but unless if you're really intensely engaged with university politics, you don't really know that they're there. So just making sure not to be like too wrapped up within the SRC and looking to see what other students you can engage with.
Brilliant, thank you for talking to us today, Tia.
Thanks.